Like we're going to have a committee that's going to, an in-house committee that's going to manage.
It'll be one Democrat, one Republican, and 3 hopefully business people.
And what that committee is going to decide, Jim, is, who's going to administrate it, how it's going to work, what the application process is, and who the decision makers are going to be. So I do have a recommendation for that committee, and I voiced it with the chair. And my recommendation was from one person from the community and one legislator from both sides.
So I think that's good that we're going to have a committee. So and they'll help define, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating questions. I didn't get a chance to catch up with
No, go ahead.
What defines a small business too, that the committee's going to make that up.
Yes.
So we know, and it's going to include the farming community.
Yes.
Small farms.
Does small farms.
Yeah.
Right.
Whatever that definition is.
Yeah. And let me say this too, because we had a lot of discussions about this resolution. And one of the things is both parties came together. I had to learn a little bit more about the agricultural field. Just being a city person, I did not move out to where Elaine, I still live in the city. so I'm still learning. So I had to get some information from some community members, and I made that adjustment.
No, I think some of it looks good. I am going to support this. I just had a couple questions.
Hans.
I'm going to oppose this because it's discriminatory. It mentions the Republicans and Democrats. It leaves out 3 members of this group who are neither conservative or NOP.
Well, Hans, strong word, discriminatory. It was just a suggestion. I don't choose the committee. The chair chooses the committee. I gave a suggestion. So seeing how there was 2 majorities and caucus together, there is like some non-parties, but they do caucus with the Republicans and they caucus with the Democrats. The chair ultimately could be the only person to choose the committee. He can go totally whatever committee he chooses.
It doesn't say that in there.
No, but that's a rule. I think that's rule. Chris, is that a rule that he?
I'm looking for the words Republican or Democrat, and I guess.
I was saying, I suggested that.
It's just a suggestion. It's not in there.
Suggest.
Yeah, it's
Not in there.
So what I should have rephrased is a person from both caucuses. The committee, the chair determines who's on the committee as in any other committee form.
Can I make
Andy? Yeah.
an amendment then to add that the chairman can choose 1 member from each caucus? Add that line into the resolution. Would that
Yeah.
make everybody?
Okay. All in, that's the
I'll second.
motion. Okay, second. Discussion for the amendment. Lydia.
Oh, not for the amendment.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
No discussion for the amendment? All right, let's vote on the amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, need a motion for the resolution. Second, discussion.
Again, I would like to, sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
I would like to mention that there are a lot of businesses that saw interruption. There were businesses who are now no longer in business and we can't help them. However, they're filing for insurance, and insurance companies and the state Supreme Court are rejecting business interruption claims. They have to go somewhere to get help, or they're not going to be there to serve us forever, like we would like to see small businesses. Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Aye. Oh, I'm sorry, Chris, I didn't see you.
That's okay. I just wanted to say I appreciate Brian did call me. We talked about this. I had a lot of questions about the details of how this is going to roll out. I was glad to hear that there's a committee that's being formed. My understanding is that whatever the program recommendations are, that's coming back to us to weigh in on feedback.
No.
That was what I was initially told.
So I don't want, I'm sure everybody in here is legislators making decisions based on what businesses get grants, which ones that I think our job is to form the committee and the committee makes a decision. I don't want to empower them by us. You know, they come with the suggestions. If they got something that's totally rogue, I'm sure the chair will be involved in bringing it to, and Mike, and so totally Chris, if anything, play off the beaten path. So if I interpret that, I'm sorry. But
And I guess I'll just say, it's a very large chunk of money without having any details, so I'm not gonna be able to support it if that's the case. But I definitely appreciate you bringing this forward, and hope that the committee will make good decisions on it. But I personally, unless you want to appoint me to that committee right now, I can't support that right now. I have too many unanswered
Right, I understand. Andy, wait a minute, Brian. Andy?
So Brian called me and I have no issue with this because him and I actually discussed, you know, what he's got written down here. And I thought it was a good idea to make a committee because piggybacking on what he just said, I mean, for those of us that have been here for more than one term, yeah, I mean, it's not our job to, there's no way in hell 15 people are going to agree on everything all the time. So it's not our job to, you know, micromanage. I mean, if we form a committee, doesn't matter what it's for. That's what we form the committee for. That's why you have representation from, and I won't say both sides because I'll say both caucuses, Hans, because I'm with you on that one. But we need to, and as long as it's, you know, broad-based to the whole county, you know, the farthest up towards you, Jim, to the farthest down to the county line to Tompkins County. That's the way it should be. I mean, so every little business is, and I would hope the committee would be checking with all of the town supervisors and stuff like that to say, hey, what businesses have you seen, you know, that have struggled and need help? But
Well, there'll be a definite application process. Then there have to be proof loss of from COVID. So that's all that been discussed as far as the committee, right?
I just want to say one other thing, Trish. I really think that we just had a discussion about redistricting and we're talking about less government. So if the government is now deciding who's in the money, that is totally unfair to everybody. I mean, that would be a disservice. So the committee, we got to trust that the people that we choose in the committee make the right decisions. And hopefully we get the nice team together and the chair is going to choose the committee, and we just hope they get it right there. But the effort to allocate money speaks volumes to not to say that we have a distrust within ourselves to even spread the money out and it's distributed. So we're going to trust the chair that he forms the right committee, and we're going to trust the committee to get out there. But the money speaks volumes to help people, and it's a large chunk of money. But people lost a large chunk of money, and like what you said, there's many of these businesses are not even here because of it.
I appreciate that. I'm still feel the same.
Lydia?
Sir, I don't want to rebut you because you are valuable and I respect you 100%. And I know that when I hear you, there's substantiation behind your opinion. And I really respect and value that. However, I'm going to ask you to please reconsider. I hate to make comparisons, but in this case, we have given $3 million to digitize paper. And we don't even have broadband throughout the entire county so that all of our constituents can access that digitizing. We do have access to every single small business in our county. So I think that this $500,000 is well worth it.
Jim?
Just on this resolution, I think I'll ask it here that whoever is on the committee, make sure they communicate with the caucuses or the legislature. Let's make sure it is getting out, as Andy said, to every district and every town supervisor. It's one of the things we, as much as we think we do communicate this, it's the fact that I'm the mayor and the county legislator, that crossover of those two, I take so much back to my community that was not being heard. before, and I'm sure that all the legislators are trying to reach out. But as long as that committee just gives us updates on what's going on, or, hey, you sent this out, can you check with your towns to make sure they got it? You know, it would be a good way for us to communicate with our local communities too. So I'm supportive of this.
Thank you. Mark?
We'll figure it out.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I understand it, the city has allocated a similar amount of money to this same type of resolution. And as I read this resolution, it states for small businesses in Cayuga County, and I would associate Cayuga County with the city also. So my question would be, you know, is our ARPA money or this request also going to include the city as well?
So, Mark, thank you for that question, because that's a question I did want to address. So there's I believe, and we're going to guide the committee. Hopefully, my suggestion would be if somebody received money from the city, they're excluded. If they didn't apply from the city, they're excluded. So they would have to apply, and basically either the city had exhausted the funds, or they got rejected for some reason and they fell into the pool or whatever the committee decided the application process is. So the other question that I think some people are thinking, well, is there a reason why we're giving money? But Auburn pays the largest assessment values. So to disclude Auburn, the city is a lot, and also the villages got money. So they to spread that money whatever way they chose. So we can't, if we're going to want to work with the city, if we're going to want to be able to have a cohesive relationship, we can't just keep excluding Auburn when they pay the most taxes, the assessed taxes. The other point of that is if you exclude Auburn, you're making a statement that their taxes didn't matter. So what I don't see, there's no double dipping. So if you happen to help a few people in Auburn, so be it. I don't see the issue.
I would just.
No, I'm just
say-
saying, like
I'm just, my only response to that would be is, would the city be willing to reach out to the small businesses in the county also? Because the way I understand it, they made theirs exclusive to the city.
yeah. So if you do that, then I could go to a village and say, are they reaching out to Auburn?
I have no idea.
They wouldn't do that. I mean, that wouldn't make any sense, you know? And I think that last night, when I got elected from District 15, and that is like the west end of Auburn, runs up to the center part of the city. But when I took this chair, I represent the county. I took time to learn about agriculture, which I had no clue about. I've been on one farm, leadership Cayuga, and I've learned so much about that. So my point is, I represent, and so don't you, the county. And we cannot go like this, point in both directions and say, well, you did this, you did this, you did this. What are you gonna do for this? This is the money that's going to a pool of people, a pool of businesses that represent the entire county, that all have contributed. So that's my comeback with that. So it's not a comeback, I don't mean it like that, but it's almost like, it seems to be at times when people say, we always wanna work good with the cities and villages, but if we're gonna say, well, the village just got this and the city got this, what are we gonna do? So I'm hoping that, I took the time to learn, I made some adjustments, just play out of ignorance and got educated myself. And I just hope that we can just pass this resolution unanimously because it'll send a great statement.
Trish?
Brian, you just mentioned something. So if city businesses didn't apply to the city's ARPA funding for which the process is closed now, they're going to be shut out for county funding. Is that the case?
Yeah, I think that I do, and I don't know this because I don't really agree with the city, but they may open it back up.
but they've already run their process.
We
So
don't,
currently,
what I can tell you, Trish, is I can't tell you what the city's gonna do. I can tell you what we're gonna do. So maybe that committee could say, well, you know, why didn't you apply? Well, whatever.
this is
Maybe-
why I'm concerned about approving it tonight, because that's a rule that
But
I don't
if
like.
you go that,
And
I
we're
mean,
shutting out businesses that maybe didn't apply to the cities for whatever reason. And so I guess I just wanted to clarify that, but
well,
there's a lot of details I think that we haven't discussed. I don't think it's micromanaging. I think it's looking at policy and how we want to spend this $500,000. I did not vote for the digitization. There's reasons for that. But I definitely support our small businesses. I just think there's a lot of unanswered questions about how this is going to be managed. Even which entity is going to oversee this program. That has been all over the board. So for me, it's going to be a no vote, and we'll just let it unfold. But that's an example of something that I think these are questions the committee is going to have to figure out.
Oh, Andy,
respond.
and wait for Andy. He's got his hand up, right?
Sorry, okay.
Okay.
So I'm still good with this because I'm gonna assume committee, we'll call it committee because we don't know who's on it, is going to look at the county as a whole. They're not just gonna look at Auburn, they're gonna look at, and I'm gonna assume the qualifications are going to be, you know, you're not gonna look at a business that in Auburn, let's say, that lost $2,000 and you got a business in wherever, north, south end, that's, you know, surviving by their shoestrings. I would think the committee would be smart enough to say they need it first, not the one in Auburn, and vice versa. If there's an established business in Auburn, I mean, I have faith enough that the committee is not going to spend all $500,000 in Auburn, nor are they going to spend all $500,000 throughout the rest of the county. Because let's face it, $500,000 is a drop in the bucket. I mean, if you got, you know, I mean, so
I agree.
we're gonna do what we can do, but we can also beat this dead horse for another couple months, and meantime, we might lose another business or two that's hanging on by their shoestrings. So
I want to piggyback on a little bit what Trish said. We talked about redistricting tonight, and we talked about, you know, management style, and we're talking about the start fund. Could you imagine if we, all 15 of us was in a room deciding every little detail? It would be impossible. I think that we have to have the faith and the trust in our people that were in there. We wouldn't go and manage economic development and get in there and every detail has to be laid out. It's not for us to decide. It's for them to decide. And we're never going to iron out all the details. So I think that this is one of the times where you get Andy and I agreeing on something. It's almost. This is.
I'll yell at you on the way out.
Gonna walk out.
Jim, go ahead.
I guess to try to move this on and get to a vote, I'll ask the chair that once the committee's selected and stuff, and they set up their standard of rules, if it would make the legislators feel any better to see how they're gonna disseminate that information and what an application looks like and what the criteria is gonna be like.
Not at all.
That they review it in front of the legislature before it goes out. So we can comment on it. If any particular legislator, I think.
I like the way that this is looking right now because it leaves it, we just saying we're setting aside the sum and that we're having a committee. I'm assuming you'll come back with the details and we'll get to hear about them. But I'm glad that we're not trying to iron it all out on the simple resolution. I like the way that it is simple. And I think a lot of thought will go into it. I think even some ideas that you might have as the architect of this probably will morph and change and evolve anyway as the process gets underway. So I think it would be very hard to articulate exactly this process, but I'm very happy to be able to support this tonight. I even wish it was more money, so.
Okay, I want to thank Brian for meeting with me yesterday and going through this because we both gave and took, and that's what it's all about. So thank you for your cooperation. Okay, we've already got a first and a second. We've already discussed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Carried.